Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of If Margaritas Could Talk, the Over 40 Chronicles podcast, where we sip, spill, and speak the truth with the salt on the rim and no filter in sight. I'm your host, Tracee Black, and of course, my co-host, Charity Jones, joins me today, and we are talking all things having to do with celebrity life, celebrity face, celebrity style. All the things are coming your way. How are you, Charity?
I'm great. How are you, Tracee?
Superb. Great weekend. It's been hot. How's weather there?
Good. It's been beautiful. I think we're supposed to get some storms tonight, but great weekend.
So today's episode is for everyone who's ever looked in the mirror and wondered, should I lift it, fill it, or just let it be? Because listen, no one gets to tell you how to age. And not your friends, not your man, not your dermatologist, and definitely not the internet. Yeah.
We make our own choices.
Well, I guess the first thing I really wanted to dive into is sort of the talk of the town right now, which is Kris Jenner. She has popped up and she looks like she's about 30 years younger. What do you think about this transformation that she's done?
I don't know. I mean, she doesn't even look like the same person. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I have heard there's some new facelift out there. I guess they're moving the muscles and not just the skin. That they're actually moving, the cheek muscles and all of that. It's wild. Wild.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because where and when did it become okay for this to be sort of the standard for women when you hit a certain age, especially for all of us that are, 40, 50, 60. She's what? Kris Jenner's got to be in the oldest child is 40, or no, the youngest is 40 now. So she's got to be close to 70. But I mean, she's got good genetics. Look at the daughters, right? You've got Kim Kardashian, Khloe Kardashian, Kourtney, and then the Jenner girls. And I think because they've got that, the good genetic disposition, that helps. However, I didn't think she needed it in the first place. I think she was aging beautifully and looking her natural age. But now I just am trying to understand it. So, yeah. So this new celebrity world of facial transformations is Kris Jenner, Madonna, Nicole Kidman, Jennifer Aniston, to name a few. And unpacking their choices are, critiqued while also, quietly setting the trends, I guess. Would you get a facelift?
Man.
Or would you get anything done? Period.
I never really thought I would, but the older I get, this chin, I could do something about this chin. The chin and under the arms, the flab under the arms. I feel like eventually I could come to terms with dealing with it. But the whole facelift, I think I'm just too big of a baby for one. I don't want to go through all that pain and recovery. And I mean, I about died for my tiny little tattoo. So, and I just don't worry that much about it. I mean, I don't even wear foundation every day. I just don't really worry about it that much. What do you think? Would you do it? It
is kind of like it's this weird sort of double standard. When you looked at the age of our mothers, grandmothers, great grandmothers, everybody just naturally aged, and you expected to look your age when you hit up into the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. But now I think it's hard to tell because we're aging differently. And if there wasn't all of these like criticisms around shame, and if you're then, people think you're letting yourself go if you're not staying on trend or doing the Botox stuff. Like, I don't think that's socially acceptable. I don't know.
Well, and how much do you think factors into that we're working women now in our careers still at 60? And back then, our grandmothers or great grandmothers, they really didn't have careers out there in the world. And you sat at home and made bread and looked old and sat in your rocking chair. And, you weren't trying to still be a member of the working society and working in Hollywood. Yes. So I think the social expectations have changed so much that we want to stay beautiful, and we're staying single. We're not aging with a husband we've been married to for 40 years. We got to be hot out there.
Yes. Do you think that there's a little bit of a double standard when it comes to men and women in terms of aging? I do.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And it's unfair because men age so much better. There's a lot of men that get better looking as they age, or at least I think so. I like the salt and pepper.
It's like the George Clooney kind of situation where, some of the celebrities just keep getting better and better and better. But then they don't expect those men to go and do face stuff. But I will say that over the last maybe couple of years, I have noticed there's been a few celebrity men that have done some things to their face. So,
I think the men are getting more into Botox for sure. Maybe not the huge procedures, but at least the Botox. Yeah.
I've done the Botox stuff. I read an article about how a lot of the aging component, when women start doing fillers and Botox, what it's actually doing is stretching your skin. So that's why you keep needing more and more, even though it says over time it dissipates, your body absorbs it. And I kind of believe that doctors show, they talk a lot about the one that's on TV that's called The Doctors. They talk about a lot of the cosmetic stuff.
It not only stretches your skin, but it's a botulism. It's a food toxin that they accidentally discovered killed the nerve endings for muscles. And so you're deadening those nerve endings that innervate those muscles. And then when the muscles contract, they wrinkle the skin. So you're deadening that muscle and it'll eventually reinnervate itself. The nerves will grow back and reinnervate into the muscle. But your body will start to, if you do it long term, your body will start to produce antibodies against the toxin. So then you need a higher dose, or it doesn't last as long. Or
good. I understand what you're saying, because if you look at some of the celebrities when they've had too much done, they start getting a little bit of a lip that sags more on one side, because maybe, to your point, a nerve or the muscle's been damaged in that area. So I happen to notice, who was it? I think it was Khloe Kardashian. She's, of course, changed, and she's done a dramatic, like all of the girls seem to do these dramatic changes. And she was one that's kind of done the biggest amount of dramatic changes besides Kylie Jenner. And, obviously when they're younger, they look different. And as we're aging, we're becoming more mature and all the things. But Khloe Kardashian just went from being a certain size down to thin. And she works out every day at 4 a.m. and she's doing incredible, but not without the help of an amazing dermatologist and plastic surgeons and who do all the great things for them. Now, that comes into my next point, is the cost, right? So women think, when you see these influencer girls online and they've got the lips done and they've done the lip flips, and, I can't help but question the Botox and cosmetic industry. The money, ching ching, is huge.
Yeah.
But everybody wants to look like somebody. And then when you don't get those results because you don't look like that person, and you want the same, like, flawless skin, and why do we need to have that? That's the question that I'm really sort of stumped about in life.
Well, I mean, my first response, what comes to mind, is envy. I mean, we envy people naturally, and we want what they have. We all want great skin. I mean, who doesn't want great skin? You go in thinking that you're going to come out looking one way, and who provides your service really matters too. If you're going to some Botox party and no one's licensed and doesn't really know what they're doing, like you were saying, they can put it in the wrong muscle and you can end up with a droop. I was listening to one thing saying that if you get too much Botox between your eyes, you can go cross-eyed for a little while.
It's happened. I had it happen.
Did you? No way.
Not kidding.
You went cross-eyed?
Not cross-eyed, but what ended up happening was that when they do the 11s here, my 11s are a little bit deep. So I guess I used to frown a lot. I'm like, why? What is that? What is that thing? Anyway, and so the last time I had it done, I felt like my brow had dropped, and it was sort of felt heavy. What is happening? This has never happened before. And I don't do a lot of fillers and things. I mean, I have wrinkles like everybody else because I'm 55. But I will say I felt sort of like my forehead had come down a bit and it felt heavy, sort of, even though it didn't look like that. It just felt like that. It was a really weird sort of phenomenon, weird situation. I said, "Is this normal?" She's like, "Yes." I'm like, "But I've had it on before and it didn't happen." So see?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They might have given you too much.
Too much. Yes. Or in the wrong spot. I think. So we've done a podcast on confidence, and we talked a lot about that. You made a lot of very valid points about women in confidence. I think the problem is the world thinks that in today's situation with everybody sort of choosing themselves and wanting to age, people sort of have this opinion about it. And just like we're talking about it today on the show, I kind of think, and I want your opinion on this, that it would be nice for us to be able to have the option. Is there something different that's going to be a lot healthier and better for us, right? With the way that technology is evolving, why are we constantly having to put this stuff into our face to make things better? So
like what would be the alternative? Like a skincare that did just as much?
I don't know. I mean, that's what the scientists are for. There's something in the back of my mind that always thinks it's just like when we think about our grandmothers and great grandmothers and even our mothers, right? Everybody cooked back then. So you had all natural food, farm to table, that kind of stuff. So it wasn't there. You weren't dealing with a lot of preservatives and things in food. So I think when you talk about environmental issues, you talk about things that you're putting in your body, those are also fundamental things that are effect of part of your aging and your skincare for sure.
Absolutely.
So when are they going to come up with something that's going to be a little bit more natural and not where you got to do all this stuff? I don't know. I don't know what the solution is.
Put toxic bacteria into your muscles.
Yeah. See?
Well, and I think that, like I was saying before, the societal changes of the pressures of being independent, which we've somewhat put on ourselves, but stress causes a lot of wrinkles. Like you were saying, I got these 11s from stress. Mm-hmm. And maybe our stress looks different than it did back then when you were mainly the caretaker of the home, which is not stress-free. I stayed home with my kids for a couple of years and, oh my God, I about cried to leave every day. So
yeah,
that does have its own hardships. I don't know. Maybe the way we handle our lives and our lifestyles now add to the wrinkles. But
yes, I think if somebody was to tell me, oh, you shouldn't do that, I don't know how I would feel. Like there's this keyboard warrior stuff that's online, which I think everybody's spoken about and everybody knows it exists. But when you look at all of these celebrities that are having work done, I mean, just to name a few is, Madonna and Jennifer Aniston and Lindsay Lohan and just naming a few, but the big puffy cheeks and the innovation of, having this flawless skin, it just doesn't seem sustainable in that way. Now, if you've got millions and millions of dollars in your bank account, then that's a whole different conversation because I guess that's what your destination. But if somebody said to me, I would pay for you for a facelift, would you do it? If somebody said, here's $100,000, I'm going to pay for your facelift because they think that you need, because they're giving their opinion and saying, I think you need a little tuck and poke and smooth here and blah, blah, blah. Would you do it is the question.
I think after 65, I would. I don't think I would right now at 46. I don't want to get that started too early. For one, I'm scared I'd be addicted to it.
Yes.
For two, what if I'm not happy with it and I have 40 years to go? I mean, we could at least wait till I've got 30 years to go.
Summer.
The most interesting thing to me is that we just don't have long-term studies on this stuff yet. We've got studies for 10, maybe 20 years. I think the cosmetic Botox started in the early 2000s. So maybe 25 years of studies now. There's no telling what these people's faces are going to look like in 40 years. And even the Botox, if you kill that muscle enough times, is it going to droop? Because a lot of these people are starting Botox in their late 20s, early 20s sometimes. I've got 35-year-old friends that are doing it consistently. Yeah. So the test is really going to be what they look like at 65 and 70.
Well, look at Joan Rivers when, I mean, a decade long. Who's that other lady is it Joan Rivers, the one that wrote the books? She had a lot of work done in her face for years and years and years. And over time, just did not look the same. I mean, look at Courtney Cox. These are all incredibly beautiful women that started their careers out. And yes, again, time, right? Time changes things. And as we're evolving, we want to look and feel our best, obviously. But all of a sudden, if you wake up and you're just not recognizable, like, is it to stay up and coming with Hollywood? What's the premise behind it? Is there that much pressure? That's what I'm curious about.
I think it starts with Hollywood and the pressure to stay young and beautiful to keep your job. It's went way beyond Hollywood now. I mean, it's readily available to anyone. You don't even have to go to the dermatologist. You don't have to have a real plastic surgeon. You can go to a med spa. So it's just a lot more accessible. And I think the social media has really pushed it. There's a lot of Botox, and I keep saying Botox, but any of the correcting procedures are really pushed by influencers on social media too. So I think we just get it from all angles. I think it's a lot of pressure.
I do agree. I did this most recent episode last week on midlife crisis, and I feel like that's even a part of it as well, because we hit this fabulous age and everyone that's out there in the world says, oh, you're supposed to age gracefully. Well, how is that a thing when you have all of this influence around you? So you look at every TV show, every series, every movie, and everybody is always looking their most pristine, but there a lot of that which they don't realize is makeup. So makeup and filters. And I've been guilty of using filters in my life. I mean, it's a professional image. I want to make sure the image is there. And yes, there's men out there that do videos and stuff and say, stop using the fillers and stop using the Botox. We love you the way you are. But I think there's something to be said with men also feeling like they have a voice to say that. And so is it a slight critique? Like, I don't know. It's kind of getting into the deep depths of everybody's opinion on how somebody should age.
Yeah.
Do we have fear about getting older, do you think?
I'd like to say I don't, but every time I have a new change, it's a lot scarier than I anticipated. Just like the gray hair, like we were talking about the other day. I thought I would be fine with it. And every time it gets too much, I'm like, I got to get rid of this. Or twice, somebody has asked if I was one of my friend's moms. Both times I went and had my hair done. I was like, what the hell?
I hate the word ma'am. I'm like, don't say it, right? Because it sort of jolts you a little bit. I'm not a ma'am, but thank you, because I know you're being respectful. I think, you know what, like you and I talked about on the confidence part of it. Confidence is hot, period. So anybody's choice is to decide what that is for them in their reality of, this is who I am, this is who I want to be. Yeah. When it changes, so if a person's face changes and starts becoming sort of really too overfilled and too overdone, is it the place of the family to say something, do you think? Hey there, got a brand with personality? Then let's talk. On If Margaritas Could Talk, we sip, chat, and connect with a community that loves good stories, good laughs, and living life out loud. Your business could be a part of that vibe. From bold brands to fresh startups, we've got ad spots ready to go. So grab a lime and let's mix something great. Hit us up at podcast.imct@gmail.com or visit us at ifmargaritascoulddtalk.com. Cheers.
No, why say anything? I mean, their face is done now.
Yeah.
Maybe refer them to a therapist. But no, I don't think anybody should comment on it. I mean, it's everybody's individual choice. And there's a lot of it I wouldn't do. But I mean, if that's what makes somebody feel good about themselves and they choose to do it, then it's their choice. So
do you think that other women specifically are making comments about, oh, you should age naturally, or have you given up and age naturally, all those kinds of things? Is it a insecurity, perhaps, why women are maybe a little judgmental of other women who choose to go that route to keep their young, youthful look?
I don't really know if I can speak about on other women like that, but I have an example. I've got a good friend in my life that I have always just thought was absolutely drop dead gorgeous, just beautiful. And she's had some stuff done and she still looks great. But when I saw her, it really just broke my heart. I thought, you are one of the most beautiful people I've ever known. And do you not see how beautiful you are? Like I felt more sad that she didn't see the beauty in her that I see, because to me, she doesn't need anything. I wouldn't hate on her. If she feels more confident with that, then she has all the power in the world to do that.
Well, you make a very good point, because we see ourselves differently than how other people see us. So when we look at the mirror and we see ourselves, we have a totally different perception of how we look, which is so strange. And then when someone else looks at you and they see you differently, and it's a really weird concept to think about, but it brings exactly to your point about your friend. If you saw her one way, but she probably saw herself a different way and said, I need to fix and change, these things.
Yeah. And I felt like that through dating. I don't feel like I've had the self-confidence that when someone tells me that they find me really attractive, it's like, are they just sweet talking me? Because it's hard to believe sometimes. Over the years, I feel like I've really tried to accept exactly who I am. I used to be the one that didn't ever want to be in a picture, didn't have any framed photos of myself, didn't want anyone to post anything on social media. If there was a group picture that I thought someone might put on social media, I wouldn't be in the group photo. And it's taken me a long time. It's probably only been 5 or 6 years that I've just learned to accept what I look like.
Yeah, you go at your pace. You know your time. If you do want to make a slight change here and there, that's okay, because it's totally you making that choice. It's your decision to make it.
Yeah.
And it's not anybody else's. I find it interesting that I had somebody from Atlanta. She had sent in a little message and said she turned 50 and decided to get a facelift. Her reasoning was not because she felt pressured, but because she wanted to look as vibrant as she felt. And she said, I don't want to be hiding that part, because I do feel vibrant inside. So everybody's motivation is going to be different in terms of what they're going to do to hang on to their youth for as long as possible. When you were in your 20s, did you ever think that would be the conversation you'd be having when you're in your 40s and 50s? Because we watched our mothers and our grandmothers grow up and seeing them just age naturally, and it wasn't a thing then. And then here we are now faced with options.
Speaking about your friend and her wanting to stay vibrant as she felt inside, that's absolutely it. Even with, like we were talking about with the gray hair, I thought, I'll have no problem with it. Well, now I'm like, I'm not that old. I'm not ready. I still feel young. I act young. So I totally see her point. We want to project how we feel inside. And it's hard to accept that our bodies don't look like what they used to, even though we still feel like the same person. I tell a joke on stage about...
It's a weird thing, right? I can't believe I'm this age, but when you look and how you feel inside can be completely different, even though the number is bigger than it was, 20, 30 years ago. But the number doesn't have to equate to this other thing. Oh, you're supposed to look a certain way when you hit those ages. You can look however the way that you want, I guess.
Well, maybe envy is not a big play in why these women have such massive surgeries. Maybe it's grief of who they used to be. Maybe they want to be, maybe it's the not being able to accept the changes.
Yeah, that hits hard what you just said, actually, because speaking for myself, going through the grieving process of who I used to be 20 years ago, because I've had so much trauma. The body trauma affects you over time. And then having breast cancer, it changes your whole outlook of yourself, because you feel like maybe I'm no longer lovable because I'm not the same person that I was before. So it's a definitive thing that crosses your mind. And over, I've asked myself this question: would I ever have a facelift? Would I ever, let's get some of those tape pieces that stick and pull everything back. I don't know.
The frownies. I have thought about ordering those.
A little piece of little cosmetic tape that pulls things and makes them a little tighter. Nothing wrong with that, because then you can still be yourself walking around the house with all the extra wrinkles and so on. But oh my gosh. One of the things I would love to do is hear from some of our male listeners on what they think about women in aging, because I think it's really important. Not that that's going to make or break what women are going to continue to do, but it would be interesting to hear what men's perspective is on all of it.
Well, and not just on their perspective on our aging, but perspective on their aging. I had one girl that was dating a guy, and she found some mascara in his bag and thought he'd been cheating, and it was because he used in his beard to cover the gray. So men do have tricks. We want to know your tricks, men.
We want to know your tricks.
Chime in.
Chime in. That's right. Charity said it here. I would love to know, what is our margarita of the day?
We have a coconut margarita today.
Ooh, coconut margarita. Well, the weather is it's hot out there, so I think that sounds about right. Yum.
Yeah. Perfect for summertime.
Perfect for summer. So when we talk about gray, whether you're embracing gray or booking, get your fillers done somewhere in between, your own beauty, I think, is really not up for debate. But when you put yourself out into the world, like in TikTok, people want to say what they want to say. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well,
the TikTok world.
The TikTok world. Oh my gosh. I had a little oopsie whoopsie TikTok today. It doesn't have to do with aging. Well, maybe it does. Multitasking. So I thought everything is content. Is what they say. And so I was getting gas on the way to work. And I thought, well, I'll just do a little video short clip. Well, I'm filming me pulling the thing out of the gas tank, the nozzle, and I'm gripping the handle. And so I'm trying to hold the phone. I'm pulling it out and gas just goes everywhere. I got it all over my shoes. Yeah. And so then I was high off gas driving all the way home because my whole car was fumes. And I thought, oh my gosh, I am too old to be trying to multitask like this. And I had to leave in a hurry because I didn't know if everybody inside saw me just spew gas everywhere with my phone.
She's like, Jones is trying to get gas station content and just trying to multitask. I'm thinking the two things should never go together. Just FYI. That's so cute. Oh my gosh, you're so funny. Yeah, TikTok has been a thing. I sort of laugh because, as you know, I'm new to the whole world of TikTok and I'm not doing a very good job of it. I don't understand it. I don't know if it's just because I'm like challenged in that way when it comes to like really truly doing it. People spend a lot of time doing content on there, and
a lot of time.
I find that I need to have this sense of peace of mind, and I'm not sure if it's at this age that I'm at that it makes sense. Because here's the thing, I can't compete with all these gorgeous 20s, 20 plus year looking beautiful influencers out there. What's going to make the difference?
I think you can see it as a competition.
True. But
you got to find your fan base. I've been really going after the women over 40, and I feel like,
which is great.
They've been supportive.
I sort of chuckle because what's the purpose of being on here? What am I doing on here? I'm trying to get opinions of perfect strangers. It doesn't. So it defeats sort of the angle of, if you're trying to build self-confidence, we are putting ourselves out into the world. All I know is that in today's generation, we look at Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox. You even look at Jessica Simpson. I saw a video of her singing. She's back to she's doing a band thing. I didn't even recognize her. I thought, this doesn't make sense. Like, make it make sense to me, because you don't look like the same person at all.
Yeah, that's sad. And she was beautiful.
Yes, right? And again, like, is it just the wrinkles and that everybody wants to have this perfect flawless skin? I don't know. Yeah. How you do it is your business, I guess, Jessica Simpson's, but all these women are just drop dead beautiful. And I guess we'll never know. We'll never know. Yeah. We only see it from the outside in, right?
That's right.
That is right. Anything else to add on this topic today?
I don't think so. Just keep loving yourself in your own ways and stay confident out there. Live your best life after 40.
Just live your best life after 40. Don't forget, it's a choice. That's the best part about it. Well, I think this might be a wrap. We're talking a little bit about celebs and talking about how people don't get to tell us how to age. So if somebody's telling you how to age, just tell them to knock it off, because it's not acceptable.
Tell them to get out of here.
That's right. That's right. So until next time, keep laughing, keep living, and remember, if life gives you limes, you
make a margarita.
Don't forget to subscribe, follow on more on your favorite listening platforms so we can get those ratings up. We're looking for our listener input. If you would like to, the goal is to get to the top 10 guys. So of course, you can find us on ifmargaritascould.com, #podcastdiva. So until next week, Charity Jones and I will be back with some other hot topics. Thanks. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.